3.5% of five-man protections, one of the highest usage of five-man protections of all time. And they had a second and third string offensive line, and they didn't think, maybe let's bring in an extra blocker. Holy crap.
Super Bowl takeaways. I'm going to go first because, again, as usual, home field advantage. That's what happens when you host a Zoom call. You get all the benefits, including all of the work, including being able to edit like you're 7 years old. It's fantastic.
I have no idea.
All right. So takeaway number one. Buccaneers, obviously, what were they? They're peaking during the game. Have we ever seen this ever by a team? Possibly. I don't think ever. A team is literally like sailing through the season, not really, hitting their stride. It's the best game they played all year. They peaked during the game, which is like crazy. It's like if there was another 4 weeks, they would be the favorite. They are playing Pittsburgh Steelers type of football, except in Super Bowl, not in week 2.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think coming out of their bye, I forget which week it was. I think it was week 11. They didn't lose a game since, and since that game they were really on a tear.
I think they were 8-0, so it couldn't have been week 11.
Yeah, I think we both talked about it. There were certain games where we weren't necessarily convinced about the team that they were, and I think still a lot of my question marks are still there. But there's no denying that over the course of the last 8 or 9 weeks, they've been dominant and they found their stride. We always kind of talked about what really are they as a team, and I think we both agree that they're a power running team. So when they run the ball, that's when they're at, and that's my first takeaway, right? Is that running backs aren't overrated. The run game's not overrated, and I think we're going to see this trend over the next 5 years where the NFL goes back to what wins championships. Big size. You got to be there on the offensive line and the defensive line, and have the running backs to cut through those holes. Like I like what Tampa Bay has with the running backs, the rotations. Kind of leaned on Leonard Fournette and obviously Rojo, but you use Rojo a little bit less, and you see what he is when he's just more of a supplemental back. He's a really good one-cut running back, and so is Leonard Fournette. It kind of also throws it like back on its head, where we always kind of think like, the big power back, and then we have our elusive back. They're just like, screw it. We got 1A, 1B. They can do a little bit of everything and try and stop it. And when they get games where they can mash you and then maul you at the line of scrimmage and get 5 yards of play, that's a success to win, or that's a key to success for any team. I think that will be a big trend in the next 5 years in the NFL as we go move away a little bit from that spread offense, that crazy air raid, to getting people a little bit closer, getting back to that run game, utilizing play action. So offenses similar to how the Buccaneers are operating. Obviously, it's a copycat league, but offenses like Tennessee and kind of like the Kubiak Shanahan system, where you see like in Minnesota as well, where it's an emphasis on the run game, outside, inside runs, and really just taking advantage of play action opportunities.
Yeah. I would also add to that the running game also kind of felt a bit, I don't have the word for it. Maybe you can help me out on this. I don't want to say collegiate. I don't want to say high school level. But I said during the game, it felt like there were 2 running backs out of Pittsburgh, like University of Pittsburgh, who were just running the ball downhill. But it was like simple, but it was effective. And I wouldn't say it's like collegiate or a lower level not as an insult, but as a compliment, in the sense that they were just comfortable downhill. They got the edge, and it was just like, it's like they had outside technique on them, like the entire. They could get to the edge, they could get inside, they could do whatever they wanted.
The run game in Tampa Bay, as it is, kind of as like how it's drawn up, it's very basic. There's no complex scheme. It's not like a Shanahan scheme where you got guys in motion and opening up holes on backside lanes. It's really just power, or it's really just zone. Just go forward. If they collapse inside, bounce it outside. If they're giving you that lane on the inside, take it inside. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about, coaching Just give the players the opportunity to succeed, allow them to play fast and make easy decisions, and that's what they did, and that's why they won. That's why they were successful.
All right, we're gonna move on. Second takeaway. I guess I could combine some of my takeaways here, and number 2 is NFL needs NFL players. I wouldn't say it was to the extent where you would be canceling games, but it's hard to watch the Super Bowl when there is such a mismatch. It's very rare you get to the Super Bowl and you go, the end can run around tackle. That's high school level. That's what it felt like watching. That's my second takeaway from this game. What are your thoughts?
It was like watching a turnstile. There were plays where I swear to God, I rewatched them and I'm still convinced they're screen passes, but they're not. There are plays, and I don't want to just turn this into an offensive line bashing, but there is a play where I think it's Ndamukong Suh falls over at the snap. The left guard looks at him and just lets him get up. He just lets him get up. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. It looks like you fell. And then not only did you fall, I want you to get back up, but I'm not even going to touch you on the way to the quarterback. What is that?
I didn't even see that.
It's on the play. It's on the Travis Kelce drop on the third down, like the third and whatever 20.
Yeah.
And on that play.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On that play, it's kind of what I talked about earlier. On that play, it's a massive Dino, like a corner post to Tyreek Hill. He's bracketed, but he's wide ass open. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And within 3 seconds, he's already destroyed. If the left guard just, hey, here's a gift. Do you want to take it, or do you want to just not take it? Like it was, instead of taking the gift, you just lit it on fire. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to just talk about the offensive line the whole time, but yeah, I agree with you. It feels like we got a little cheated. And we're not even talking necessarily about, we're talking about obviously Todd Bowles and whatnot, but really the takeaway of the game seemed to be like, I really wish that was a closer game. The Chiefs didn't look prepared. We're not even really giving the Buccaneers enough credit, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Well, I completely agree with that one. That it they didn't seem right. It was the fact that they came out in the second half, and we're going to touch on this which is obviously another takeaway, which is going to be something to do with Todd Bowles. But they come out of the second half, and you're expecting, all right, adjustments, right? They're going to start moving the ball. They're going to do something different. They know the defense. And then Todd Bowles comes out, and honestly, the defense looks exactly the same. So we're going, okay, well, they're going to get some yardage. If it wasn't for that one type of run they have, which was like pull guard and shotgun and do like a halfback lead, it's
kind of like a draw. Yeah,
it was strange, but like it was the most effective play of the game. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I mean that's going to tie to my next. Or I mean, I don't really want to continue on the running back thing, but okay. I just feel like it's important to point this one out.
Yeah.
The last two Super Bowls, like, I mean, obviously we're like some of the most important players in the last two Super Bowls were running backs. You think of the Super Bowl last year,
yeah, like
Damian Williams was one of the best players on the field, or was it Damian or Darryl? Sorry, I'm not 100% sure. It was Damian or Darryl? I believe it's Damian.
Damien Harris. No, that's Damien Harris is the Alabama running back.
Very important though. Like can't go overrated. The run game can't be overstated, and this is going to lead to my next takeaway is that this defensive game plan for the Buccaneers, and I'm curious to see where this goes in 2021, 2022, 2023. And I'm kind of looking back at the 2018 Super Bowl of the Rams and the Patriots. Remember that Rams offense? Nobody could stop it. No one could really stop it. It was number one, number two, number three, whatever it was. It was high up there. Yeah. And the Patriots went, all right, we know how to beat this. And they shut it down. That was the blueprint, and that was it. And I know we kind of talked about it during the game, like, hey, this might be actually good for the NFL. This is going to level the playing field a little bit.
Absolutely. I agree.
My takeaway for next year will be, how does Kansas City counter that blueprint? Because, again, we always talk about the book is always out on how to beat Kansas City. But that said, that book looked awfully readable last night or 2 nights ago.
I think it could be countered. It has to be. You just don't go downfield. it's almost like they're too fast for their own good.
But they didn't. That's the thing, and we've talked about it all year long, and that's why I thought they were going to win. They've showed the ability to change it up, to throw quick, to throw perimeter screens, and they did try a few, to run the RPOs. They ran them at nauseum to start the game. They didn't work, and you know what they didn't do? They didn't get away from it. Like at a certain point, you have a game plan.
Yeah.
If that game plan doesn't work, you have to get off of it, especially after halftime.
They didn't even. But they did. Yeah. I don't think anything new came out of that second half. It felt like a team that was defeated, and I guess we will. I'm going to move to the next takeaway because we've kind of already touched on it quite a bit, which is need somebody help. Oh my God, that's going to get copyrighted.
No.
We might actually. The Beatles are notorious. But yeah, when I watched Mahomes running around for his life, what it looked like was the sign of somebody trying really hard. That's all it looked like. Like I wouldn't look into those stats, even though the stat was 497 yards before he behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Just the most. But it had the sign of someone who was trying really, really, really hard. Like someone who's over dribbling the basketball, over driving a car, swinging too hard at a golf ball. You know what I mean? That's what it looked like. That's what it seemed like the entire game.
He did admit it after the game that he was there. There are some plays like, hey, we all know that pocket was collapsing all the time, but there were some plays where when he did have a clean pocket, I think at a certain point those kind of ghost pressures. Like if you're pressured on, let's say whatever it was something like 80% of snaps. Those 20%, you're inherently going to look out for it. You're not going to just be like, oh, I got a clean pocket. Let me just step through and make a throw. You're already like, all right, who's going to be the turnstile on this snap? All right, boys, ready, set. Oh my God. You have to.
I think what stood out most for people was just the fact that like Mahomes did so much spinning, you know, where he would like take his back to the sideline, to the line of scrimmage, and it just looks so unnatural. And he maybe did a couple pirouettes, an entire like scramble.
Yeah, and I think we could make an argument that like 3 of those throws are like maybe some of the best throws I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
Like, hey,
I mean,
who knows where those balls are intended to go? Like that throw to the running back in the end zone, he drops it. Like, was he really
should have been picked?
Like,
but
was he trying to throw it perfectly right off his face mask? No, there's no way. I mean, maybe. Hey, I don't know. I'm not in his head, and he's not going to admit it. But there's no way in hell he's like, oh, perfect. I'm going to laser this guy in the face.
Yeah, just let me just Chipper Jones you from
rolling sideways.
You know, from third base. It was such a great play, though. I mean, imagine if one of them was caught. They would still be like, what, top 50 play of all time?
Oh, yeah. That would be...
Like, just one of them. They don't have to win the Super Bowl. They just... If he catches that one in the end zone, that's like, arguably, what, one of the greatest plays of all time?
For sure.
Like, I agree. we but those are the plays that have to be made to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. There, I said it.
I agree with you. I mean, you got to make plays. I mean,
those are like next level. That's like making 3 Tyrees in one.
But you just can't drop the easy ones too. You got to make those plays, but on the way there, you got to catch the ball on third down. You got to catch the early touchdown. You got to do those things to get yourself in position to beat Brady. My next takeaway was an emphasis on star players. We look at the draft history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and look at a player like Devin White.
Yes.
They weren't necessarily hurt in that position when they took him, but and kind of the ability of linebackers have really been marginalized a lot since how the NFL has kind of taken off now. They're a little bit less important, just basically because you run nickel coverage almost all the time, and you're always in a deeper set. You're always trying to defend against the pass. They took him early on because at a certain point, sometimes taking a player that's just of that caliber is worth taking them in. I don't know if he was a top 10 or I think he was a top 15.
I think he's top 10 pick.
He's top 10 pick.
I remember I wanted him, but he
Like,
was never making it.
well, it really shows, right? That's a top 10 talent, and instead of trying to fill a need or whatever they really needed at the time, they just took the most talented player, that player
Yeah.
that was that good. And we always heading into the draft, we always talk about needs and whatnot, and we always say, oh, you know what, you shouldn't draft a receiver in the first round. There's so many receivers later on. Well, yeah, but if you got, like, I'm not saying Devin White's a receiver, but if you have a talent like that, you should take them in the draft every single time, because what they do is just so much higher than every other linebacker at that like age level or that bracket that it's worth the pick.
Yeah, I think they tried to do their best, but I think it was just so there. It was just a perfect setup. It's what it also felt like. Like the star players on Tampa Bay, the most meaningful players on that defense were going to be key here because there's no tackles. They know they got to get rid of the ball early, which means inherently you got to go side to side. And unfortunately, you're playing the linebackers who are made for side to side. Also, potentially one of the best matchups on Kelsey. If you're an AFC, what are they divisions? What team are they in? They're the AFC
West.
AFC West. If you're the AFC West, you gotta put a star right beside Levante David's name. Try and pick him up because he's gonna be facing Kelsey twice a year. Might have to consider that. I haven't seen that. I know Kelsey got 120 yards,
155,
155, 10 receptions.
Garbage time.
It doesn't, garbage time. But I mean that one route they showed David on Kelsey, and it was just like, that's a linebacker. That's a linebacker. They're just doing everything now. It's crazy.
But to be fair, there are so many plays that you can rewatch. And all the there's a lot of times where like receivers are covered, but like Kelsey's open. But then you look at the line of scrimmage, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I'm not gonna go absolutely crazy on the coverage on Kelsey. Hey, like they did a good job. Don't get twisted. But I mean, you're lying to yourself if you just say that like one player was the reason why. If without that front four, like that game's a totally different outcome.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So next one would be the Todd Bowles. Absolute masterclass.
Oh, he's a monster class. Yeah, sure.
Masterclass.
I know that was a monstrous,
Monster. No, but you look at it, they come out, just in the announcements, they're announcing a 2-4-5. 2-4-5. Who runs that? Who runs 2-4-5?
It was a cool defense.
It was like okay, so center fielder, safeties, corners. I mean, the Super Bowl is really a special game. And that's how it is a special game. You give 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, rules of defense no longer apply. And it's just like, okay, so now we have these 5 defensive backs. What do we do with these 5 defensive backs? We line them up deep. The speed is coming right towards them. They're allowed to play downhill because if they try and rub them downfield, guess what? We're at Mahomes, whatever. You're not going to get us at the line of scrimmage. And we dare you to throw it down here. Don't kill us. They decided not to bend, and it was really simple. And I don't necessarily think that this means Todd Bowles needs to be a head coach. Don't have to be a head coach. There's nothing wrong with being potentially one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. I mean, it's just fantastic. I was really impressed by how Tampa Bay came out and played defense.
It's a classic overreaction Monday sort of thing. Like, oh, great defensive game plan. Automatically, you should be a head coach now. And it's like, all right, pump the brakes. Like, hey, that's an amazing performance. But you know what? Some guys should just be defensive coordinators. Some guys should be offensive coordinators. Yeah, some guys should be offensive coordinators. It's a great job there in Tampa Bay right now. He's given full reign of that defense because that coach is an offensive coach. Like
Yeah.
you're given full control. Why? What is wrong with that job? Some guys just want to. I mean, I don't know Todd Bowles. I don't know what he wants to do, but what I'm just saying is that there's
Probably likes
nothing wrong with
football. I'm pretty sure he's a
nothing-
big fan of football.
nothing wrong with making 7 figures and coaching ball and not having to deal with all the
Yeah,
politics of being
7 figures, Coach Ball. Yeah.
dealing with the media and dealing with personnel decisions. You know what? It's easier. Coach a defense. I'm just saying. I mean, hey, there may be a chance where he wants to coach. I just don't know that, and I don't want to say that for sure. There's also nothing wrong with the position he's in right now, and what they did was
Super Bowl
awesome.
champion. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, hey, I would rather be a Super Bowl champion than be a head coach of the Jets. Just saying.
Would you though? I don't know.
I mean, if I already made let's say $30 million, does it matter?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Hey, again, I'm not in a position to say how much more money one should need or what they want to do, but
Okay.
there's nothing. I'd just like to say there's nothing wrong with being a high level coordinator in any level of football. I think that's totally fine. If that's what you like to do, if you like to coach defense, coach defense.
Yep.
There's no reason to put people on a certain pedestal.
All right.
My next takeaway, and I don't know, I talked about it a little bit on Sunday, and it was kind of as I was watching Mahomes run for his dear life, and I watched Tom Brady hoist another Super Bowl trophy. And again, I'm not in a position to say what one person should take as a salary, but I'm just curious if one day we will see an era where quarterbacks start to take less because they really value the team around them, and not just the team around them and the starters, but perhaps maybe a little bit better of a backup. Because all I couldn't help but watch on Sunday was go, man, it might have been nice to have a little bit better of a backup plan on the offensive line. And his salary cap number hasn't fully kicked in, but when it does, and they're in the 45 to 50 million a year, that's going to be life. It might not be the offensive line that's struggling, but hey, your defense might be giving up 40 points a game. You might not have the best receiver going downfield. So I'm just curious. Look, one guy has done it his whole career, and he's won 7 Super Bowls and potentially can go for 8. And we're already hearing rumors that he might take the veteran minimum next year. Now that's easy to do when you have a net worth of 225 million and your wife's got a net worth of 300 million. But at a certain point, you got to ask the question: how much more money do you need? What do you value? Because every time they go to the podium, they say they're all about winning, and I believe them. But if every single time you go for a contract negotiation and you're taking top dollar, and you might not even be a top dollar quarterback, like say Dak Prescott, do we think Dak Prescott's worth $43 million this year? He isn't. You know why he's good? Those pieces around him. He's not a $43 million quarterback without talent around him. I'm just curious if we see one day somebody say, yeah, you know what, I want to take a little bit less. I want to make sure I'm protected.
I think that after every Super Bowl, and we'll probably talk about this in another video, and it's the post-mortem of the Super Bowl. There's always trend lines. Last year, Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Oh my God. If we don't get a quarterback like Mahomes, we're useless. We need to get the guy. Screw the team. We need to get the guy. Now, out of this Super Bowl, do we see a trend line where you're talking about salary? Do we see quarterbacks taking less? Do we see teams valuing quarterbacks taking less? Do we see less of a jump towards having the best quarterback? Well, I mean, I guess to be fair, these are 2 best quarterbacks of all time. Don't necessarily want to take a look at that as a trend line, but it is possible. It's always new.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't need a great quarterback to win. I think we all can agree. Hey, you looking at the Final Four or even the Final 8, if you don't have a top-notch quarterback, you can't even get this far, right?
Yeah.
You even get to the Final Four, you need a top-notch quarterback to get to this point, regardless of how talented your roster is. So I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that as players get a little bit older into their 30s and then eventually into their 40s and their mid 30s. Does it really and you've already amassed a net worth of say like $150 million? What's another 30 million?
I don't know. It'd be a nice place to be in.
Again, I'm in no position to give someone financial advice at that level, but I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. Will somebody, and I'm just
How
curious.
much you value your kids having money? That's kind of
Your kids potentially living on Mars. Like that is the amount of wealth that they are amassing.
not that much. No, my God, living on Mars. Yeah, right.
The average person needs $3 million to retire.
Yeah, but like to live on Mars, you would need to have like $1 billion.
Well, I mean, you're starting off pretty good if you got everything paid for.
You only have 1/10 of the amount of money you need.
You're
Not
fine.
even close.
You can live on Mars with Tom Brady's salary right now.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Tom Brady's salary is $28 million. How much do you think it costs to go to Mars?
Well, I don't know.
But I'm just saying.
You need at least $28 million of silver to go to Mars. So
what I'm
let's
saying
just.
is, like, you really need this much money to finance your kids' lives. Like, really?
Why not?
I don't know.
How much? My argument, of course, is do you shower in championships? And the answer is always no, because they do not matter. They do not exist.
But they do
not
apparently.
tangible.
They do apparently, though. That's
Yeah,
my
because
argument.
that's
Everybody
the
goes
question
to the podium.
asked.
They all go up and say, you know what, we're all about winning around here, and I'm willing to do sacrifice whatever it takes to win the Super Bowl this year. Well, you know what? Put your money where your mouth is.
Well, and my answer to that is you don't drive championships.
Again,
unless you're the Championship Drive podcast, which I would always recommend. It's great for college football.